to March's Northland MUFON Meeting. A little bit about what we're going to do today. We got a few announcements, and we're going to have a lovely presentation from Sev Tok, who is already with us today. And there'll be time for questions after what she has for a presentation. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to talk about what's going on in the Northland, recent UFO sightings, and then do a little field investigator training. We wanted to have a few minutes after for some questions, comments, or for stories to share if anyone would like to. And then in person in Grand Rapids, we're going to have our door prize drawing. And of course, there's Jer's online YouTube trivia. So in April, we're going to have Ellie Mayer, and she'll be talking about the cosmic you, exploring contact through consciousness. And in fact, I think I just pronounced her last name wrong. Sorry, Ellie, Maher. Our upcoming speakers include Dr. Irena Scott, Colonel John Alexander, Science Bob McGuire, and Dave Schrader. We're going to do a special event with Dave Schrader at his new hotel, the Palmer House in Sauk Center. We're going to have our regular meeting in Fargo and in Grand Rapids, as well as online. But we're also going to have a satellite site at the Palmer House. So really looking forward to that. And on behalf of all of us at Northland MUFON, we just want to say thank you for all that you do for us, whether you're donating financially with other types of things, you're just coming into our meetings, you're donating your time. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much from all of us at Northland MUFON. Maybe I'll do a quick update on our location since I didn't really have a slide for that.
Okay.
So I know I can see a few familiar names. So if you normally come to the Fargo-Moorhead location, normally we meet in person. As many of you know, unfortunately, the Fargo library system really cranked up the costs. So instead of $20 per meeting, it became $90 per meeting. And they were not interested in fixing the technical issues that we kept having. So we decided to move to the Moorhead side. And where we first started, actually, when we first started out with Northland MUFON, we were meeting at the Moorhead location in the library there. And they've built this big, beautiful library. And so they've closed the current or the old library in Moorhead. And the new one will be opening up in a couple weeks. Actually, I think it's on April 8th is when it officially opens. The meeting rooms won't open for about a week after that. So we're pretty certain that we'll be able to start having our meetings there on our next meeting in April, which I think is it the 25th or 28th or something like that? I don't have a calendar in front of me.
I think it's the 25th.
You know, that's pending any issues that they have with opening. So some of that's not in our control, but that is our plan, and we have the room reserved. So definitely stay tuned to our emails and our social medias for confirmation that we will definitely be meeting there. But I'm 95% sure we will be at the new library in Moorhead come April. And that's going to be our new home. We're planning on staying there permanently. Crossing my fingers and hoping nothing changes with that. So thank you folks for joining us online though. We appreciate that.
And while we got time, go ahead and tab over to YouTube and check out our YouTube channel.
No, don't leave the meeting to do that. Do it on a different screen or a different side. So you're staying in a meeting.
Yep. Like, subscribe, everything else.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Jer's videos that he produces, they are really top notch. I'm actually pretty impressed. I definitely would not be able to do that kind of quality.
It doesn't take much to impress you.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Jer is really underscoring his videos. They're really very good. They're very interesting to watch. They're entertaining, actually. And he has just a very good presence and sound presence in the videos. Lots of good graphics. Definitely is worth checking that out. And now today's guest, Ms. Sev Tok. So this is a kind of a shortened version of her bio. She's got an awful lot of experience. She's an author, ufologist, and a spiritual counselor. She's an experiencer advocate, known for her work at the intersection of extraterrestrial contact, consciousness, and disclosure. She was born in Istanbul, Turkey, and immigrated to the United States as a child, where she earned a Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Loyola. In 2017, after relocating from Capitol Hill in the Washington, D.C. area to the Inner Banks of North Carolina, she experienced a life-altering extraterrestrial encounter. While her ET contact began at age 10, Sev publicly came forward in 2018, speaking at AlienCon and releasing her book, You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens, which has been endorsed by renowned UFO researcher Kathleen Martin, who was our guest last month, if you remember. Sev has appeared on History Channel's Ancient Aliens, The Proof is Out There, Gaia TV's Beyond Belief with George Noory, ABC's Nightline X, and the Canadian docuseries Encounter UFO. She's been interviewed internationally, including on Coast to Coast, and speaks at conferences worldwide. She's a former MUFON State Director for North Carolina and served on the executive committee of the Experiencer Resource Team for MUFON. Sev is also a founding member of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, a collective of award-winning filmmakers, television professionals, and ufologists dedicated to promoting accuracy in media coverage of UFOs and disclosure. She has a new podcast, UFOs and ETs 101, offering the basics for UFO, extraterrestrial intelligence, and the deeper mysteries of the phenomenon. The podcast is available on her YouTube channel, Alien Spirit with Sev, and of course, across major podcast platforms. In addition to her media work, Sev has been conducting soul purpose sessions for clients worldwide for over 16 years. She also offers private ET consultations for her experiences. If her name sounds familiar and you're a Star Wars fan, a planet and star system have been named in her honor within the Star Wars galactic system, where the Sev Tok planet and star system is documented on Wikipedia and referenced in Star Wars Andor. Welcome, Sev.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I was a field investigator in 2020, and right here in this picture, this is when I just received my card in the mail. And then I went on to become the state director for North Carolina, and I was on the executive committee of the ERT as well. And I'm still an experiencer advocate. I help contactees around the world for the past 16 years, and I also conduct soul purpose sessions that support individuals to strengthen their intuitive abilities so they can live a more aligned, intentional, and more purposefully. I've been an experiencer since I was a little girl. My first conscious memories are from the age 10. I'm not going to go into the whole story now, but there was a being that would visit me until I was 12. And this is what he looked like, very close to what he looked like. He was more human than not. The only difference were his ears. They were a little more elongated on the top than ours, but he didn't look like Spock, and I wasn't into Spock back then. And so for 2 years, he would just come and visit me. It was many, many visits. And I've had a lot more experiences since then, along with supernatural experiences. But the ET contact that changed my life happened in 2017 when the Greys burned 2 red X marks into my back, into my tush, actually. One was on my left cheek and one was on my right cheek. And this caused me to have an existential crisis. I finally admitted that I needed help, and I went online because I didn't know who helped people talk to ETs. I didn't even know if someone like that even existed. And I found Kathleen Martin. So I contacted her, and she responded, and she helped me process everything that's been going on. And she's now become a dear friend of mine. She's my mentor, and she's also a very highly admired colleague. I go into my life of ET contact in my book, on radio shows and podcasts and conferences and on different TV shows. I spent most of my life hiding because I was ashamed and I was embarrassed. And I also questioned my sanity. And I was afraid that I would lose clients if I came out. But one morning in 2018, I woke up And I decided I was going to write a book, and I knew what the title was going to be, You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens. And I don't know what happened that night, because when I went to sleep that night, I had no intention of coming out or writing a book. But I wrote it, and I wrote it pretty quickly. As you said in your introduction, I do have a planet and a star system named after me in Star Wars. I had a friend who was a writer, and he got a job writing a short story for Star Wars. And he said he liked my name and he was going to name a planet after me. And I thought he was kidding, but he was serious. And if you watch Andor, you might have heard my planet name mentioned. Two of my newest things are a podcast that I created. These are really short, and I created it because as I've been speaking to people around the world, I've noticed that there's actually quite a bit of ignorance about ufology. And so I wanted to create this podcast just to give the bare basics, the basics of what everybody should know so they can at least have a fairly decent conversation about this topic, because this topic is here, it's not going away, it's a reality, and everyone should really know the basics. My newest is an online class. I was going to teach it in person in North Carolina with Pamlico Community College, but I had a sudden move, and now I'm in Florida. So I'll be teaching this class online. I'm really excited about it. I don't know the date yet, either May or June, but if you're interested, there'll be information on my social media. I also have a newsletter that you can sign up for on my website. All right, now back to the ET stories. As an experiencer advocate, I talk to contactees around the world. I've been doing this for about 7 years now, 7, 8 years. And I've discovered that there are 5 main topics of information that the ETs are giving us. Science and innovation, the hybridization program, the future of mankind, spirituality and self-empowerment, and psi abilities. I'm presenting to you the original artwork. All of this art is done by the actual experiencer. This is artwork done by a gentleman in Virginia who I'm going to call Ron, and he's been having ET contact since he was a kid. This is an interaction that happened on a spaceship with the mantids and the grays, and he said that he felt encouragement and support from them. And the mantid told Ron that the mantid's relationship with him and his people is for life and for the mutual benefit of us all. And Ron said, the mantid held me in a mental field like magnetism, and my thoughts were his thoughts. And then he began to increase the conscious interface between our minds to a point beyond my ability to describe. He was fully conscious of the contents of my mind, and I understood about his nature and his purpose. It was difficult to ascertain which thoughts were mine and which were theirs. They were evolved beyond most human concepts like emotion or self-centered concepts. I could feel the other minds on the craft as individuals. We were united in a warm, inclusive unity of being. It was a feeling of unity and belonging that I will always remember. Do you see that blue wand that one matrix mantid is holding on the left? There are many experiencers who have seen either a gray or a mantid holding a holding a wand. We do not know what these wands are. However, we do have this, which might provide a clue. This is another painting of Ron. Along with many experiencers, he was shown images of our future. And they were not happy images. There were images of catastrophes and devastation. And he told the ETs he didn't want to see them. They scared him. So the ETs switched to scenes that were happy and healthy and vibrant. And the ETs told him that our future is a set of possibilities which we create with our minds and intention. And there's no one set destiny or future event. There are many future potentials, and the potentials are manifested by focus into our reality. And this information he received from the ETs changed Ron. One of the transformations regarding his physical change is he became a vegetarian. As experiencers do, I'm another one that became a vegetarian. He also became increasingly aware of his connection to all life on all planets in all dimensions, which makes him feel like has a personal duty to be kinder and more loving and to respect the life of all. Ron's experiences demonstrate the scientific, the spiritual, the self-empowerment, and the future-telling information that the ETs are giving us. And at the same time, they also strengthen Ron's telepathic and psychic abilities. Also, Ron confided with his dad about his experience, and for the first time, his dad said that he had been taken on craft too. So, as we know, there is contact that happens through the family lineage. This is an ET event that transformed the contactee so much that she developed the courage to make a very difficult decision that benefited her life. Her name is Raptal Vargas, and she lives on the Big Island of Hawaii. And this is her painting. She began to paint after her ET contact, as many experiencers do, become very artistic. This is one of her paintings depicting an ET encounter that changed her life. She went to bed one evening and she awoke on a bed that seemed like it was a hospital bed in a room, and she was staring at that object behind her, that strange black and white object that was hanging on the wall. And then these three short beings walked towards her, and they were reflective in material, and even their eyes were reflective. And the beings told her, physical form is insignificant. We are all interconnected. And she says they taught her that what I believe myself to be is what I become. And her efforts to try and understand this took her on a very deep personal introspection about herself, about her life, and for her purpose for being. She says she's still learning what this profound statement means. And it's a gem of wisdom, really, and it helped her develop the courage to leave her abusive marriage. This message of self-empowerment not only helps the individual, but our collective society. And as each of us does the necessary mental and spiritual work to take good care of ourselves, this creates a higher personal frequency, and this radiates through our society, through the collective, helping the collective raise its vibration. And like Ron, Raptal became a vegetarian too. She's more empathetic to others, and she lives with the awareness that she's connected to everything, and she does her best to be helpful to humanity. Her experience, again, demonstrates the information the ETs are giving us with respect to spiritual information, self-empowerment information, and that black and white thing that she was looking at is some kind of scientifically advanced object. And once again, the ETs have strengthened her psychic abilities by making her aware of her own telepathic abilities. This is a drawing from an experiencer that I'm going to call Abby, and she had ET contact in Izmir, Turkey, when she was a little girl. I'm originally from Istanbul, Turkey. Her father was in the army and stationed in Izmir, and it was there that she had encounters with these small, pale beings that had long white hair. They took her on their ship, and this happened when she was around 9, and they taught her how to meditate. And they taught her how to open her third eye so I could see the truth in this illusory matrix. And they said the way we educate our children is deplorable. She was told that humans have everything we need, but knowledge is misapplied, and that there are trillions of civilizations scattered throughout our universe, but very few visit Earth. Abby's experience further demonstrates the information, the spiritual information, the self-empowerment information that the ETs give us. Once again, we're told that we live in a matrix, and it's an illusion that responds to our focus. And once again, the ETs taught her how to strengthen her psychic abilities. And once again, this was a very positive, loving experience. This is interesting. This are three beings that showed up in the living room of Annette Williamson, who lives in England. When she first came to me, she had not come out, but since then she's come out and she's done several interviews with Grant Cameron. And when these three beings arrived in a room, she was with her friend Zoe, who also saw them and heard them as well. They were both stunned, and they asked them, "Who are you? Are you God?" Which I find to be a very interesting question. And they responded, "Everything is made from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. No one divine being, only the oneness of all humans, animals, and other beings." They talked with these beings quite a bit, and they got tired of calling them the three beings, so they decided to call them CHON, which is short for carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. And once again, the ETs tell them that we're in a matrix of illusion, and the truth is seen through our first eye or our third eye, and that personal perception creates conscious reality. I don't know how many of you watched James Fox's National Press Club presentation. It was very good about the ET contact in Virginia, Brazil. There were many firsthand experiences. Civilians, there was a doctor, there was a Brazilian politician, and Jacques Vallée attended the conference, but he attended via video. It was several hours long, and what I did was I made a very short video summarizing the entire conference. It's on my YouTube channel, Alien Spirit with Sev. And the story does include bribery, it includes a briefcase full of money, and it does include Men in Black. This is a graphic from that video where I'm talking about Jacques Vallée. And at that conference, Jacques Vallée says, "There appears to be an extraterrestrial phenomenon powered by advanced artificial intelligence." Jacques Vallée is a French-born computer scientist. He's one of the most respected researchers in ufology. He worked on the early internet systems, and he collaborated with astronomers and defense researchers. He's also written many books, and he approaches the topic in a scientific and philosophical manner. Vallée and Hynek worked together in the 60s and 70s. Hynek, as you probably know, was the scientific advisor to the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book, and he shifted from being skeptic to being much more open-minded. Vallée worked closely with them, and he helped them push beyond the nuts and bolts theories. Their partnership is dramatized in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where Hynek inspired the scientist character and Vallée inspired the French investigator. Together, they were involved in cataloging UFO data, with Vallée helping to computerize the information and founding the Center for UFO Studies. If you're going to Contact in the Desert this year, I will be there. And I was just talking with Paul Hynek the other day, and he told me there's going to be a very special event. All of the Hynek siblings, I think there's 5 of them, are going to come together at the conference on stage with Jacques Vallée. This is the first time all the Hynek siblings are getting together for this reason. And Paul was quite excited about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing that too. The Hynek siblings know Vallée. Vallée suggests that the UFO phenomenon might be an advanced intelligence system, something that processes information and interacts with humans through the mind or the brain or the consciousness. And he speculates that UFOs may not be physical, but rather manifestations of a non-human intelligence, possibly operating like advanced AI. The AI we use simulates conversation, it generates pictures, it influences our thinking, it feels alive. And people are actually using AI right now as their therapist. And some are even using AI as their romantic partner. So is ET contact simply a conscious awareness of this cosmic AI where the person downloads visuals and information just like prompt an AI on your computer? We've heard stories from experiencers who've flown craft simply by their mind. They say when they're on the craft feels alive. And all they have to do is think about where they want to go, and the craft goes. So when they're on this craft, are they tapped into this cosmic AI? Is that what runs the ship? I don't know how many of you have seen this series. I enjoyed it so much. It's a British series that takes place in 2019 to 2034. And it depicts political upheavals, economic instability, and technological advances very similar to what we're undergoing right now. And the series ends with a character named Edith who dies, and she decides to upload her mind to a database, just like AI, so she can live forever. And as this is happening, she tells the technician she does not believe her consciousness can really be encoded because the human spirit is more than just information. And the series ends with the entire family gathered around Muriel, also known as Siri or Alexa. And they're just looking at Muriel, ready to see if Edith is really going to live forever, if they're going to hear Edith's voice through Muriel. There's a lot of movies and TV shows now about plugging into AI, uploading ourselves into AI. A lot of shows about the Matrix. Is the Matrix simply cosmic AI? And going back to experiencers, what if these experiences feel like we're having telepathic communication with a being, but maybe what if we're not? Maybe what we're doing is just downloading this cosmic AI into our minds. Could this explain why so many experiencers have stronger psychic abilities afterwards? Because they're plugged into this cosmic AI where they can download interdimensional information. And do they get plugged into this cosmic AI because the ETs plugged them in? Or can we plug in ourselves? And is this what meditation and dreams help us do? Jacques Vallée was before his time. Well, he's still alive. But when he was putting forth this idea of AI and ET contact, it sounded really out there. But now it makes sense. It makes so much sense. He's challenging us to rethink everything that we've assumed about the UFOs and the intelligence. So his work seems more relevant than ever right now. So basically, the question is, are we simply receiving and interpreting information from a cosmic intelligence, experiencing it as reality within our own consciences? Perhaps what feels solid and real is a part of a much larger interconnected system of awareness and information. And maybe there's nothing artificial about it. Maybe it's just cosmic intelligence that we're learning to tap into. Thank you very much for your time.
Sev,
Yes.
very interesting. I was looking at my bookcase that you can't see. It's off to the side here. And I must have your book at the cabinet, but I've read your book.
Thank you.
And every time I hear you speak, I can't believe how many similarities we have in our lives. One of these days, we're going to have to sit down and talk about that. But
Okay.
Wanted to open up the floor to anybody that might have some questions. You're muted, Jer.
Okay, yep, here, hang on. I got a microphone for you. There you go. She's right there.
She's right there, whoever she is.
Oh,
Oh,
hi.
she's right there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on the camera.
Yep.
Oh, you're alive.
Hello there. My name is. I
Hi.
came here today with my brother-in-law, and he was
Yeah.
kind of wondering how Dr. Stephen Greer fits into this whole subject because we've been watching videos from Dr. Stephen Greer lately.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he talks a lot about the consciousness factor of this. He's also extremely controversial. I think he's an important player in this, but due to the controversies that he's created about himself, is he a whistleblower? Does he work for the CIA? Is he really telling the truth? What's going on? I know people who've been to his CE5s, and I really can't say so far that I've received a lot of positive feedback, but I'm not going to talk bad about Dr. Greer because I think he's done a lot for ufology and opened up a lot of minds. I don't believe, or I don't agree with everything he says, though.
Right. And I think we kind of feel the same way that he's bringing light to the subject. It's
Mhm.
just you're not really sure how much of it you should believe and how much of it you shouldn't. Like everything these days with AI, it's difficult to believe what you see and what you hear. So,
Also, right now, the state of disclosure is so interesting right now. I'd really like to hear all of your opinions about this. It's frustrating at times from an experiencer point of view because experiencers now at this particular time are completely ousted. And no one's interested in hearing what we have to say, and we're the ones that can answer their questions. So right now, the focus is on these military whistleblowers, which is not a good. These military whistleblowers, they're gagged. And if you think they're going to tell us something that they shouldn't tell us, they're not. If they tell us something they're going to tell us, they're either going to be killed or they're going to be threatened so badly that they're going to shut up. I believe every ufologist I know has been threatened, including me. I've been threatened a few times, but the last one was so bad. It was so horrible because they know how to get you. They know what bothers you the most, and they go there. It was something that I saw in December of last year, and I was going to come out and talk about it. And I got an email from a military whistleblower who has been on TV. He's been at Congress. I'm not going to say his name. And he heard about what I saw because at that time last year, I was living very close to a military base.
okay.
And he wanted to talk to me about it. I said, all right. And the very next day, I got the threat. And I never contacted him again. And I'm not going to talk about it. I know what I can talk about. There are things that we can talk about, so I'm just going to stick to that. What happened that night? Will I ever tell? I don't know. I don't know. The threat is so bad that I can't take the chance. We can tell the difference between a silly threat and a serious threat. This was a serious threat. So we're also hearing about this general that's missing and these other scientists that are missing.
Okay.
You've heard about them.
Yes.
Do you believe that they were killed? Do you believe that the government kind of just wiped them off to just kind of get us to not talk about this topic anymore? I'm not 100% certain that's what happened. I'm not going to rush into that conspiracy theory right there.
Right.
But right now, it feels like we're being intentionally misled through the government, through the whistleblowers, and also through an experiencer or two, whose names I will not mention, who are making this a purely Christian God angel situation. So it's confusing. So
Yes,
if
it
you're on the
is.
fence, you're confused. If you were not a believer and now you're a believer, who should I listen to? Where should I go? What should I do? And so that's
Right.
exactly why I created my podcast, UFO and ET 101, just to give you the basics. There isn't any editorializing in it. Just know the basics and then make your own opinions.
Yeah. That's why we're here today, just to see
Thank
what
you
we
so
can
much.
find out and get more information for ourselves with people who have experienced this type of thing. So thank you very much for your
I
time.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
We'll have a
Anybody
little
else?
segment later on in our meeting on the missing people that you were talking about. So
Oh, you are? You're going to talk about that?
yeah, we have a little segment called UFOs in the News. And so I have some stuff that we're going to talk about on that. So
Okay.
does anybody have any questions online? I don't see any. Normally we go around to locations, but we don't have Moorhead, so I feel a little lost. I'm all by myself here today.
It's okay.
Any other questions in Grand Rapids?
Nope, I don't think so. Unless you want to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that you've had personally that you can talk about.
Well, I don't know if that's going to be boring to the people who are listening because I've talked about my experiences before and I've written about them before, and I don't want to talk about anything that might be kind of boring or too repetitive.
I don't think you'll bore anybody.
Thank you.
I don't think so either. I will just kind of comment on something that you said. People who know me really well know that I try and stay in the hard science world, even though I'm an experiencer myself, which is a very interesting place to be.
Mhm.
And I am seeing some movement towards understanding the experiencer's experience within that hard science world. It's not a lot, but it's some. And I'm really encouraged by that.
You are seeing that. How are you seeing that?
Well, there's a few things that I probably shouldn't talk about, considering they involve other organizations that I'm involved with and not MUFON. Jared is sitting there with a smile because I think he knows who I'm talking about. So there's a well-known organization that's really nuts and bolts hard science. And I have been bugging those folks. I'm a member of that group to take a look at a little bit more of the consciousness realm. And some of the experiencer stuff. And they're actually going to be talking about some things related to experiencer phenomena at their next conference from PhD level folks who've been doing some research in that area. So not a ton, but a little bit. And I'm really encouraged by that little bit. Project Hesdalen, I will mention their name. They have a conference that's coming up at the end of summer, and they're another pretty hard science group trying to figure out what the heck is going on with the lights over the Hesdalen Valley. And full disclosure, I'll be speaking there as one of the experiencers, but they wanted to also have the experiencer phenomena in their conference. And so I'm seeing some hopeful things that maybe they'll take a little bit closer look and not just say that we're all crazy or delusional.
So these experiencers, are these experiencers that have some 3D proof or no?
For which?
Just the experiences in general. Are you talking to experiencers where some people would say, oh, that's just all in their mind? Or are you talking with experience that maybe have like an X on their tush or an implant or some other marks?
So probably both. I can't speak for the paper that's coming out that I know some details about. I don't know specifically what evidence they have. I know they have some. In those groups, you have to have some kind of hard evidence. It can't just all be woo.
Yes.
And so they have some. I have some circumstantial, anecdotal type evidence that at least it helps give me some perspective when I'm talking about some of the experiences that I've had. I don't know if I want to say too much about that on this meeting. We could talk about that in private, though, if you're interested.
Okay, yes, yeah, very much.
yeah, we would like to hear more on some of your experiences. Maybe some of the ones that you didn't necessarily think were ET related initially, that you later, as you learn more,
Oh,
came
that's
to
an
realize,
interesting
oh,
way to put it. Yeah. I would say, what year was this? Maybe 2019, 2020, something like that. I was sitting in my living room. I was home alone with my cats, and it's middle of the day. No drinking, no nothing, like totally sober. And all of a sudden, right on my couch appears these two beings. They're light beings, and they're very tall, and they're absolutely stunning. And I was like, I couldn't believe my eyes. And so I actually picked up my camera and I took pictures, but they did not show up in the pictures. And they were made up of these undulating beams of energy that were just stunning. They'd be impossible to draw because they're just constantly moving. Like all aspects of them were constantly moving. And they were in the colors of blues and silvers. And there was a little bit of light green that would show up right here. And they had two eyes. They had a head, two eyes, looked like a mouth, although they weren't using a mouth. They had like a humanish body. But they're sitting on the couch and they're in light form. And the first thing they say to me is, when you look into our eyes, you look into yours. I was like, whoa, okay. Not quite sure what that means. And then they started to give me information. And I wrote it all down as they're giving it to me. And they gave me information about activating our DNA, about the vibration of DNA, why you would want to activate high vibration DNA that sits within us. They gave me information about Tesla and Tchaikovsky and Disney. And these were three men that I've loved ever since I was a little girl. And they said that Tesla and Disney met, and all three of these men were channelers. All three of these men were in contact, whether they admit it or not. Tesla admits it, but I don't know if Disney ever admitted it. I don't know if Tchaikovsky ever admitted it. And they said that when you listen to the movie Fantasia, which is one of my favorite movies, it's filled with Tchaikovsky music. Disney movie, filled with Tchaikovsky music. And this Tchaikovsky music serves to activate your DNA. It helps you align with your divine purpose. And so the movie Fantasia isn't just a cartoon, it's a DNA activator. And Disney knew that, and that's why he used Tchaikovsky music.
can you expand on what do you mean by a DNA activator?
Mm-hmm. Well, our scientists are very limited in their views of how they think DNA operates and where they think it comes from and what it does. So there are parts of our DNA that our science doesn't understand yet because it's vibrating at a frequency that we can't quite see, hear, feel, see yet. So we don't think it exists, but it's there. And this is a part of our makeup. It's a high frequency section of our makeup. And as we meditate, as we focus, as we start to pay attention, do internal journeying, trying to figure out who we are and why we're here, all of that meditation, creativity, art, all of it, music, raises our vibration. And when we consciously raise our vibration, then we consciously align with this higher vibratory DNA. And what that higher vibratory DNA contains, amongst many things, some of what it contains, is our ability to plug into the higher dimensions. So our psychic abilities become stronger. We can hear, feel, and see through the dimensions much easier. And this is a huge benefit to the human being because being a human is really, really hard. And we can have access to free information that can help us deal with being a human being on this planet.
Interesting. So I'm going to pick at your biology background. just so we're hitting the notes, because we have a lot of people who are very philosophical, and we have a few that are really, more hard science. We have kind of a whole mix in our Northland. From a scientific perspective, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I
Putting you on the
cannot
spot,
elaborate
sorry.
more scientifically on high frequency DNA because our science doesn't know it. So if you're looking for a logical explanation of that, there really isn't one yet.
What do you see going forward in the future to be able to understand that better? What would we need, maybe, is a better way of saying that?
Oh, yeah, it was, lately I've been having this thought that catastrophic disclosure might be it. Maybe that's what we need. I've never really thought that before, but now it's getting to the point where we're feeling panicked. There's panic going on. There's fear. We're really scared. And would catastrophic disclosure help? It could. It's something that the government fears. The government doesn't want catastrophic conclosure. But if you think the government's ever going to divulge this, they're not. There is no way the government is going to tell you the truth. The only way they're going to tell you the truth is if they're forced. And the only way they're going to be forced is if alien lands right then and there and has a catastrophic disclosure. Right now, that's the only thing I can see. What's your opinion on that?
Ooh, I think you bring up a lot of good points. So I know, looking at some of the things that I've heard from reputable people that have, a background, a work history, like with skunk works and all of these different things, people that would know. Their explanations as to why disclosure hasn't happened. Hal Puthoff talked about how it would be just a nightmare because of all these contracts that the government would be violating, right? And it would just be an absolute nightmare with lawsuits and all of the things that would happen. I don't have a good answer. I think if aliens, an alien ship lands on the White House, and it hasn't been shot out of the sky on its way down with whatever our government thought was needed to get rid of it, including a nuclear weapon. I could see that if it was coming right for the White House, right? If it just lands on the White House and they come out and they say, hello, that's going to be really, really tough to pretend that it wasn't real, right? There would be too many people. However, there's so much confusion, and they've done a wonderful job at putting out all of these different things to make us not believe any of it. We don't know what to believe. The person in Rapids that was kind of mentioning that, it's like, I don't really know what to believe. I think it would take something massive like that to really be able to believe that. Now there's plenty of us that know we don't have to believe. We know, but for the rest of the folks, they would have to be able to process that and understand it as something real versus something that the government created or stuff on sci-fi shows. And here at Northland MUFON, we generally take the subject pretty seriously. We have a little moment in our meetings where we get a little bit lighthearted with our joke of the month and stuff, because it is such a heavy topic sometimes. But for the most part, we focus on trying to give people the most credible information that we can in a world where we can't trust the information that we get. Not an easy job, and I know that you do the same. It's not an easy job.
There are also people who are not interested in this topic at all because they don't see how it will affect their life, which is stunning. Stunning to think that, oh, that has nothing to do with my paycheck or this or that, how I'm living my life. I'm like, it has everything to do with everything.
Well, yeah, and everybody, I think, approaches the subject from a different cultural point, cultural, religious, all of these things. JD Vance was just recently, in the last couple of days, can't remember who was interviewing him, but he was talking about aliens and the idea of UFOs, and how he really wanted to know. And that was one of the first things that he wanted to find out when he became vice president. I will say, just a side note, we steer clear of politics in our group, just because, for good reasons. I probably don't have to explain that, but because of disclosure, because of all of this stuff from the government, sometimes we have to talk about them. So his opinion actually was that they were demons. And I found that very interesting. And what I've seen through all of the experiencers that I've talked with, and the different conferences, and all of the lovely people that I've met as I've come along this journey, is that there's a lot of people who, if they're very religious, will see them as demons. Sometimes angels, but other times demons. And usually demons are demonic entities, or something evil related to Christianity. I don't necessarily see the same thing with some other religions, with the exception of Islam, where they do talk about, maybe it's the jinns, right? And other things. But I think, if you're really religious, that you're going to view it through that filter. And most of the people that see themselves as experiencers tend to be more spiritual, I think, rather than deeply religious. But what do you think? What is your experience in that?
Well, there's a particular experiencer that's well known for saying that he's been visited by angels, and that the other experiencers are visited by demons. And so this particular experiencer, whose name I'm not going to say, for the past 5 or 6 years has been telling people that I talk to demons. Sev Tok talks to demons. And so when this got back to me, I'm like, man, that really sucks, because experiencers should stick together. The last thing an experiencer needs is to be judged by another experiencer. This is a nice person, but I don't agree with his theories. They work for him, but they don't work for all of us. And so when it comes to coming in contact with a being, how do I know that it's a good being? Well, there's various things that I employ. For instance, I go by how I feel. I've come in contact with negative beings, and I've come in contact with loving beings, and there's a difference, and you can feel it right away. For instance, I came in contact with an astral men in black, which was the scariest being I've ever come in contact with in my life. It showed up in my bedroom one night, and there's a whole story that goes along with that too. The other thing is when I'm in contact with another being, and you can meet these beings in your dreams, you can meet them in meditative states, is I just simply ask it, do you have my best interests at heart? And you can tell if it's telling the truth, and you can tell if it's lying. So those are the first two things I do. If I don't feel comfortable, if I don't feel safe, then the communication ends right then and there, because I have control. They do not have control. I will determine whether I will talk to you or not. That's something I'd like everyone to know, because not everyone knows that. They think once an evil entity, or a, let's not say evil, but lower vibratory entity enters the room, that they're cooked. Like now this, they have to communicate with it, they have to follow it, they have to listen to it, and that is not the case at all. These lower vibratory beings feed off of fear. And so if you don't exude fear, they don't have the food that they need, and they'll go away and they'll find someone else that exudes fear. And so when that astral man in black appeared in my bedroom, I saw it at the foot of my bed, and it had to do with a person that was visiting me, and she was having a very interesting experience at the same time. Energy came out of that being. It had the hat, the suit, the everything, all black in my room at night, blacker than the darkness of my room. As soon as I saw it at the foot of my bed, I felt energy come out of it and into me right into my chest, and it felt like it was grabbing me like octopus tentacles. It was trying to pull me, like pull my essence out of me. And it was the scariest thing I've ever experienced. And so I just fought. And I say I feel like I fought for my life. I just fought. I'm like, nope, nope, gotta go, gotta go. Nope, this isn't gonna happen. Nope, you gotta go. And I fought, and it finally went away. And I don't know what would have happened if I succumbed. I mean, what is that? Is that the beginning of an attachment? Is that the beginning of some kind of possession? I don't know. But we do have the power.
Could you help define those two terms that you use for some of the people that might be really new to this subject? So you mentioned astral and then men in black. Can you let them know what those two terms mean?
Yeah. So the men in black can appear physically, and they can also appear. Oh, I'm reading someone's note. Okay. And they can also appear through the dimensions, dimensionally, interdimensionally. And so the one that appeared to me was interdimensional. So I wonder, well, I'm going to tell you what happened to my friend who was staying at the same time, and then I'm going to tell you what I wonder about. She came to spend the night at my house. It's the first time she came. We go to sleep. The guest room is right across the street, across the hall from my bedroom. I wake up in the middle of the night because she's getting into my bed. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "I'm scared." I said, "Okay." And at that moment, that's when I felt that men in black in my room. And I turned around and that whole incident happened. And then as soon as it left, I just went back to sleep. I woke up in the morning. We go downstairs to have coffee. And I said, "Did anything strange happen to you last night?" And she said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Okay, you go first." She said, "Well, I woke up in the middle of the night and I looked out your window, and there, hovering over the water, was a hologram of Jesus Christ. And I heard very clearly, we can do this, you know. We can put a hologram of anything in the sky and fool you." And that was happening at the same time I was seeing this astral men in black. I believe they are connected. I also believe the men in black was connected to her because she fell down this rabbit hole of QAnon and all that kind of stuff. And she was enveloped in fear. And so when you're enveloped in fear, you get these attachments of these lower vibratory beings. And so I ask, you think the government or some other agency, let's just say some agency, has the ability to enter our consciousness in the middle of the night in our bedroom? Do you think they have the ability to send over some kind of astral men in black into our bedrooms? You think they can infiltrate our minds? I'm leaning towards yes. What do you think?
Ooh, that's a rabbit hole. I I don't think I know that what we see that we think the government has is stuff that we've had for a very long time. So considering that we would have to look at least 15 to 20 years in the future, what we can imagine life like then is probably what our government already has now, at a minimum. And given the enormous increase in AI's capabilities just in the last 2 months, I would suspect that there's all kinds of interesting things that our government is able to do. Knowing some of the studies that our government was very involved in, as well as some of the activities like Project Stargate, who we'll learn more about, I guess, in May. I suspect the answer is probably yes. I want to believe it's no, but I really want to believe it's no because if it's yes, then that has all kinds of other implications I don't really like. Um, but I think the answer is probably yes.
Yeah. It's getting to the point. It's another interesting thing is happening right now too. I've noticed that I've recently heard people who've died and come back, near-death experiences. A few of them have said we have no free will. I'm like, what? no free will. And now we're being heard AI is going to take over and robots are going to take over. We're going to be totally controlled by AI and there's no free will. I'm like, what? Like, this is really weird information for us to be trying to process right now. And it's very scary. Now, is it true? Or is it all being created to put us in a very passive victim position so that our government can manipulate us and take care of their own personal needs?
Yeah, interesting question. My understanding is that we've never actually had free will, but that's coming from a philosophical area, which might be a little different than what they were mentioning. But the idea of free will is for the most part false. Um, we don't
Interesting.
actually have free will, but that's a philosophical conversation probably for a different time.
Oh,
Um,
that's a good one, though.
it's a long one. That's why I'm deferring that. It's a very long
Okay.
conversation. Um, if anybody online has a question, feel free to put it in the chat or raise your hand.
We got a
Uh,
question here in Grand
okay,
Rapids.
Thank you.
perfect.
Hi, Sev.
Hi.
I hope the camera's over my head.
It is.
I can
I
see
got
you.
two questions.
Thank you.
The first one would be, did your cats react to anything that you experienced in your house? And the second question is, based on your book, You Have the Right to Talk to Aliens. How would someone go about facilitating talking to the benevolent ones as opposed to
Oh,
the
okay.
malevolent
Thank you for those
ones?
questions. And thank you
Yep.
for mentioning my cats. So at one point recently, I had three black cats. Then I had two black cats. Now I have one black cat. And all three of them came to me in very supernatural ways. I saw them as ghosts and things and in my dreams before they actually appeared in 3D in my real life. Yes, they have been involved in some of my ET contact. They were there when it happened. Uh, one day, One day I'm looking at two of my cats and I noticed that both of them, and it wasn't there the day before, but both of them, and they're all black, but both of them have like this white dot in the exact same place on their bodies. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then one day at the same time, one of them is missing this tooth and the other one is missing this tooth at the same time. Now, I've had cats my whole entire life and they don't lose teeth that easily, especially to have two cats at the same time to lose two teeth. Now, I'm not saying the ETs took it, but I'm just saying there is some strange behavior that has gone on with my cats as well. And of course, just like other cats, they can see through the dimensions and they look and stare and they look around. I know there's things floating around. Like we've all had these experiences with our animals. Our animals are really amazing when it comes to plugging into this cosmic AI, really. And with respect to you have the right to talk to aliens and how to talk to them and making sure that you talk to the benevolent ones. It's all about your personal frequency. And we've all heard this before. How do you keep a high personal frequency? Because that's going to determine who and what you align with, not only on Earth, but as you go playing around on what I call the playground of cosmic consciousness. When you enter that playground of cosmic consciousness, you're going to meet all beings that have a consciousness, whether high vibe or low vibe. So if you walk around with a high vibe, you're going to align with the higher vibratory beings, which are normally the beings that we call nice. The lower vibratory beings are the ones that we call mean or nasty or evil. I don't know if those words really apply, but those are the words that we've chosen. The best way to make contact is through meditation. Dreams also, but conscious contact is best done through meditation. I hope that answered your questions. Thank you. Now, can I read what this person wrote in the chat?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, I'm both scientific and spiritual. And this is by Tutsi. Tutsi, thank you. I'm both scientific and spiritual, but all of this is plausible. It gives many explanations for the things that happen. Pure religion only gave me questions with no answers. Only that it's a mystery, or that we cannot see God, but must just believe. And also accept that when bad things happen, God is not involved. That's interesting. But when good things happen, it's all God. That never made sense to me, but the metaphysical avenues provide all the answers. I'm very open-minded. That was really well written, Tussie. It is interesting. Um, I really didn't realize in religion when something bad happens, God isn't involved, because a lot of bad stuff has happened at God's direction in some of these religions.
Yes, I've been told that my whole life,
Oh, hi, Tussie.
Hi is my real name.
Oh, okay.
Tuesday is a nickname.
Okay. Nice
But
to meet you.
uh I just I grew up, Catholic, but I not that I'm putting it down, it just never made
Mhm,
sense to me. And
mhm,
I, tried to just fall in with organized religion, and it was nice for the social aspects, but I just came away with a lot more questions and never any answers.
mhm.
Um, and I got into metaphysics and found that all of the answers were there. And of course now we're digging in really deep now. We're going really deep with all the consciousness and the AI stuff. And it's super interesting, a little scary, but I'm too afraid not to gain as much information as I can because I like to be prepared. So that's why I'm a MUFON
Prepared.
member.
Prepared for what?
Prepared for the day when, the ETs do make their presence and
Ah.
for being able to understand as much as possible. I follow Corey Good. You probably know who Corey Good is.
Mhm.
And he's been involved with aliens and since he was a child, and he was chosen by the government for the 20 and Back program. But anyway, I listened to all of his updates, and one of the things he said was that um the aliens, now I don't know which group, have stated that they feel that it's time to come forward, that we need it. We need the help, the technology, because we are making such a mess of the planet. So it's time for them to step in and, and really bring everybody up to speed, if you will, bring the planet up to speed and fix a lot of things. But that since our government is not allowing that to happen, they're giving our government a few more years and then they're going to come forward. So if that is the case, then we've got a few years to get ready to meet them and interface with them, which could be scary, but also could be wonderfully exciting because we'll then have the access to probably, free electricity, more cancer, just as an example.
So much.
So,
Yeah. And we have the
it,
right to
it,
know. I mean, we have the
yes,
right to know. The fact that a government is keeping this from us is so disgusting. I mean, if there could be a class action suit from the entire population of the United States against the government, say, how could you betray us and not tell us the truth? It's what they deserve because it's just insane to think that they're hiding this. And I think we are nearing the end of the hiding, the smoke and mirrors.
yes.
Hmm.
Well, if they do step forward and make a clear presence, um, I suppose I'd like to think that the government will then be taking a back seat. They won't like that, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I think government will practically disappear, because it would be so small and insignificant and insubordinate. Anyway, that's
Hmm.
just my opinion.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. Yeah,
You're
the government
welcome.
at this point, it feels really like 3D. And so when the ETs come, we're going to be much more focused on the other dimensions of life. And so a lot of the things that we find important in the 3D will just,
Right.
yeah,
Fall away. Yes.
yeah. Thank you.
I think that'll be kind of neat. I hope I'm still alive. I should be. I'm 70 now. I should still be alive.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Well, I just saw Bashar says that we're going to have open contact next year.
Oh, next year. Okay, well, so that's a little stepped up timeline, but I like to get information from pretty much anyone who has been in contact with the ETs. I want to hear what they have to say. And I just file it all in the brain and, mix it together like a gumbo, and hopefully something interesting will come out the other side and we'll
Yeah.
know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? How about in Rapids, Jer?
No, I don't think so. No more questions here.
Anybody online? I know we have some experiencers online, but I'm not going to call you out. Before we let Sev go, any other questions? And Sev, you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting if you'd like. So,
Yeah, I'd be very interested in staying for the rest of your meeting.
Great.
all right. I don't see any other questions, so why don't we take about a 10-minute break and we'll come back and talk about what's going on in the world with UFOs and what's going on locally here in North Dakota and Minnesota. Thank you so much, Sev, and
My pleasure.
enjoy
Thank
the rest
you.
of the show.
And now for something completely different.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
All right, we are back. So like always, we're always looking for help. And one of the things that we would really like to have more of is actual MUFON members. So if you'd like to learn more about how to become a MUFON member, you can go to MUFON.com or you can talk to Jer or I. So UFOs in the news. As Sev had mentioned, there are some people who are in ufology that have been working in various labs and areas in the government that have suddenly disappeared.
Retired Air Force General William McCasland was reported missing after he walked out of his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico on February 27th, and he hasn't been seen since. His background is interesting, to say the least. He once led research at Wright-Patterson Air. Retired Air Force General William McCasland was reported missing after he walked out of his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico on February 27th, and he hasn't been seen since. His background is interesting, to say the least. He once led research at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, a base that has been closely linked to UFO theories. The mystery widened when we learned his former colleague, Monica Reza, also disappeared 9 months ago before him while she was hiking. So what do we know for certain? News Nation special correspondent, investigative journalist Ross Coulthart joins us now with more information from Sydney, Australia, where my grandmother was from. So that's a nice little connector there. What do we know about the general's disappearance at this point?
Well, good evening, Katie. Well, one thing we don't even know for sure is that the general left the house of his own volition. He wasn't seen leaving the house. And indeed, as we now know, he left his tracking watch, he left his mobile phone, and he took a revolver and a holster, which is very unusual for somebody who was supposedly heading off to go trail walking. Nobody's seen him. He hasn't been seen now for exactly 3 weeks. He's literally disappeared off the face of the earth. And this week we had a major press conference, as you know, with the local sheriff, Bernalillo County Sheriff, and they've made it very clear they have no leads on the general's disappearance, which is quite extraordinary when you consider that there are so many homes these days that have Ring cameras in their front doors. People have been asked if they could provide that video to help the local police see if we can track the general's movements. There's no sign of him having left the family home. All we know is that 1 hour he was there with a repairman who saw him in the home, and when his wife came back a little over an hour later, he had disappeared.
Wow, and she doesn't know anything about that either. You said McCaslin was said to be sympathetic to the idea of bringing public attention up to speed on UFOs. Do you think he was targeted for attempting to whistleblow, or do we not know enough about that at this point?
We just don't know enough. What we do know is the timing was interesting. It followed very closely the promise made by President Trump on Truth Social just a few weeks ago that he was going to move to declassify UAP files and any evidence of extraterrestrial engagement with this planet. And it's very interesting because we know from leaked emails that were ironically leaked by the Russian GRU to WikiLeaks in about 2017, 2018, we know that John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager at the time, was having conversations by email and in conference calls with General Neil McCaslin, General Michael Carey from Space Command, and Richard Weiss from Lockheed Martin Skunk Works to discuss what appears to have been a plan by Hillary Clinton as a prospective new president to be a disclosure president. So yes, I don't think it's an idle speculation to speculate that there might be some connection, but at the moment, as his wife has pointed out, there's just no evidence to support that, and she's been at lengths to point out that there's been no change to his security clearance since 2013.
The county sheriff's department in New Mexico there recently said that they were looking into see if there's a possible connection between the disappearance of Monica Reza and the general, given the kind of work that they did and the strange disappearance in terms of the timing. Do we know anything about the disappearance of General McCaslin's former colleague at this point?
We do know that Monica Reza disappeared in highly unusual circumstances in the Angeles Mountains in California in June of 2025, over just about a year ago. And the circumstances are very unusual. She was about 30 feet behind one of her colleagues whom she was hiking with. He turned, looked at her. She gave a wave to say she was absolutely fine. He turned a few moments later and she had completely disappeared. And when he went back to check, there was no sign of her. What adds to the intrigue with the disappearance of Ms. Reza is that while the search was still going on, while helicopters were in the air and search and rescue parties were still searching for her, someone unknown posted a death notice announcing that she died on the first day of her disappearance. There never has been any formal obituary, no formal death certificate, because Monica Reza's body has never been found, and there's no evidence at all on who provided that death notice. It's quite sinister and unusual.
There's some strange stuff happening in the southwestern U.S. at this time, to say the least, whether it's Arizona with Nancy Guthrie or in New Mexico. Ross Colhart, you are a legend. Thank you for joining.
So as many of you know, we just had a rummage sale last Thursday. It's our first annual rummage sale, and it was a great success. We raised $275, which is a pretty decent amount. And that would have never happened if not for Keely, Doug, and Michelle organizing it, getting all of that stuff there, and as well as all of the people that came. So we really appreciate you doing that. And apparently I just keep fumbling over my words today. Sorry. So Jared, I'm going to let you take this one.
Okay, actually, we did have a winner this month.
Yay!
Mr. Todd, at the last minute, said the book that I was reading at the end of this one. The question was, what was I reading at the end of the when Kathleen Martin presented for us back in January of 24, so 2 years ago. At the very end of the video, I'm reading a book. What book am I reading? It's Flying Saucers and Science. So congratulations to Doug. Good job. Okay, so I'll hit this one too. So for those of you that are new here, every month we have a trivia game. It's the Jared's YouTube trivia. And all it is, you just got to watch the videos online and answer these questions here. So the question for, oh, that's right, because I hadn't fixed this because it was last minute. So the trivia question for this month is, we had a Swedish presenter, Klaus Svahn. I don't remember how long ago it was, but in that video, I'm drinking a soda pop. What kind of soda pop am I drinking? And the hint is, I got to watch all the way to the end because there is an after credit scene, just like the Marvel universe. I like doing those. I'm there. I'm reading a book. I drink a soda pop, take a sip of it. All you got to do is just send an email to Northland MUFON info@gmail.com and just tell me what soda pop I'm drinking. That's it. Really simple. I show it to the camera. I say what it is. That's all you got to do to enter. And you too can win a $10 Amazon Amazon gift card. So Klaus Vaughn, what was I drinking on that? And it's on the presenter videos and on the full meeting videos. So just check out one of those on the YouTube channel. Okay, that's all I got.
That was a really good meeting too with Klaus. For those of you who don't know, he heads the Sweden's version of MUFON, basically, along with Archives for the Unexplained. And great guy, tons of knowledge. And I believe that one was on the ghost rockets, which is absolutely fascinating. And for those of you that don't know, the reason why we have the online trivia question is because if you see us in person, we usually have a door prize drawing, and we wanted to offer something for those of you who join us online that can't come to us in person. So that's why we have the YouTube trivia question. So,
all right, my favorite part of the meeting right here.
All right, I'll let you do this one, Jared.
Yep, I got this one. Okay. Okay, next slide. Okay, brought to you by Ellie Maher from Full Circle Soul in Fargo. Ellie, you're awesome. So what is your soul's experiences? What are your past or other lives? The universe is huge. And do you want to find out more? Ellie is a level 3 QHHT practitioner under Dolores Cannon's method and stuff. She's awesome. I still have yet to go see her for that, but highly recommend her. And she's in Fargo, and she is sponsored this month's Extraterrestrial Joke of the Month. Okay.
She's also our presenter for next month as well in April. So you'll get to find out all about Ellie.
That's right. She is presenting next month. Okay. So if you want to sponsor the Extraterrestrial Joke of the Month, $10. That's all it is. You can either, donate here. You can send us an email asking how, or you can get on the website, and then there's a donation thing on the website too. So you can donate there. If you just have a joke that we can use, we would really appreciate it, and we'd be okay with that. We'll use your joke because we are running out of jokes. However, this one isn't bad because Anna came up with it, so we're good this time, unlike mine. So now, the moment that we've all been waiting for, Northland Extraterrestrial Joke of the Month. Okay. Why did the UFO cross the road? Anybody? Why did the UFO cross the road?
If you're online, just go ahead and put your answer in the chat.
Crickets. Do I hear? There is no chickens involved. Why did the UFO cross the road? Okay. Since I run out of patience quick, all right, let's get to it. To get away before someone filed a Freedom of Information Act. All right, awesome. Okay, I think you got the next one. No, maybe. I don't know. What's going on in the skies over the Northland? Anna, take it.
Here are some of our best cases since our last meeting. And sadly, we haven't had a single case in North Dakota. So if you've seen something in North Dakota, please report it to MUFON.com. And we would love to go out and investigate that and talk about it at our meetings. All of our witness information is always held strictly confidential. I'll let you do this one, Jared. It's yours.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this one just came in this week, actually. Happened in Warsaw, which is down south by Albert Lee. Happened about a week ago. Is actually right around midnight. In the synopsis, he's sitting in his backyard enjoying a campfire. He witnessed 3 lights in a line moving erratically, then morphed into 5 lights, and suddenly it was 3 hours later. Well, that's not exactly how it worked. According to videos, he just saw some lights in the sky. He took some videos of it. The lights didn't really move. He was enjoying the campfire, and the next thing he knows, it was kind of 3 hours later. So that was more I'm just sitting around enjoying myself than any type of missing time situation with that. So looking at the videos, the timestamps, checking out all the airports, Flight Radar 24. I rolled out that because the light had sat there for 3-4 hours. And got out Stellarium, and what he was looking at was Jupiter. So I know this screenshot here kind of looks weird, but it was actually just one light, and it was the planet Jupiter. And one of the videos, though, you can see the light, and then you can see some two brighter lights above it. Well, those are just stars that were above it. So I was able to, look at Stellarium and come up with a decent idea that was actually Jupiter. He did also mention in the videos that the light kind of dimmed, went away, and then came back. That was because it was behind some trees. And it was just, the branches of the trees making it look like that. So completed IFO, that was actually a planet. But I have been fooled by planets before, so I say nothing bad about that. Okay.
Yeah, and especially with planets, Jupiter and Venus are known to be so bright in the sky. And they can look very unusual, especially if there's clouds moving, those thin cirrus clouds high up in the atmosphere. It almost looks like the dot of light is moving as well. So we do get some reports. It's okay. If you're not sure, file a report with MUFON.com. We'll check it out for you.
Okay, this one, it was reported on the 12th, but it happened last year at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, you got a video on this. Great. Black egg the size of a Honda, passed over the witness at about 300 feet in elevation. Pete's still working on this one, so we'll find out what this is coming up on the 60 days, so we may have to get on it pretty soon. But let's see what the video says.
So this one, just a little background, you will see it kind of up in the upper right-hand corner, I believe it is. As he's taking the video, you'll see this black object. Any thoughts as to what that might be, just from looking at the video?
Could be, if it's far enough away. Helicopters, I guess.
Yeah, a helicopter. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Or it could be a drone. That's another guess here. Yeah. So.
Well, we'll let you know what we find out at our next meeting. So I
Okay.
can take this one if you want.
No, you got it. You got it. Oh, you.
So unfortunately, yay, there's the video. Case number 146372 was reported to us on March 5th. And the date of the event was on February 24th of this year. Time was about 21:37 and location was Egan. So investigator is Tom Maher, and he is the state director for Minnesota, in case that name sounds familiar. And so the witness summary is pretty simple: multiple white balls seen in the sky. So let's take a look at the video that they submitted. Yeah, it's a little white ball. It's interesting because the nice thing about this case is that you've got the tree, so you've got some perspective, and it looks like there's some cloud cover, and the light is between the witness and the clouds. So that's very helpful. I'm interested in finding out what he comes up with as far as a conclusion for this case. So I'll take this one as well. only because Jared doesn't like to do this stuff.
No, it's all you.
So this is case number 146370, reported on the 4th of March, same day as the event, which is always nice. And the time was just after 5 o'clock in the evening in Cannon Falls, and Mark was the investigator. And he did investigate this case. As soon as he got it, he called the witness. The witness reported that they observed 3 round black objects arranged in an arc over the disk of the sun. So a little background. There was some cloudiness, but you could still see the sun. It was one of those times where you could see the disk of the sun very clearly, and there was just enough cloud that you could actually look at it. However, because you should never look at the sun, Mark was very concerned and called as soon as he got this case. And so he did a little investigating. He determined that there was 3 obvious sunspots, and this is probably what the witness saw, and the witness agreed once he had that explanation. And so this leads us right into our field investigator tip of the month. So how did he figure that out? Well, NASA has some lovely, lovely apps. And one of the ones that are associated with NASA is Space Weather Live. And so you can get on either a desktop or on an app on your phone, you can get images of the sun at any particular time that you would like. There's many different filters that you could use. And this is just one of the intensity grams that you can find on that site. You can also get historical solar and auroral activity. Great resource. I use it all the time. This is an actual image of the sun with some filters, of course, for March 4th. And it's a high resolution of image of the sun's surface. And so a lot of times people think when they see the dots that those must be really hot regions. But in fact, they're cold areas. So sunspots are generally pretty cold. Now, these 3 that you can see in there were extremely large, and they might have actually been visible to the naked eye here on Earth. Of course, don't ever look at the sun. There's some specialized equipment that you can use so that you can view the sun. But this is probably what the witness saw. There's other numbers on there for smaller sunspots. In fact, there's quite a few sunspots that aren't even on there. They're not listed on there just because they're so small. But if somebody sees something on or around the sun, Space Weather Live's a great app to use to try and see if you can figure that out. And that's what's going on in the skies over the Northland. So we have a little time set if anybody wants to chat. Otherwise, we'll see you all on April 25th with special guest Ellie Maher. And we'll be live in person in Grand Rapids and at the New Moorhead Public Library. So I'm really excited about that. And of course, we'll always be online as well.
Strawberry. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. You're still here. Well, since you're still here, please hit subscribe. Please hit like. Watch the next video wherever it pops up on here, because that's really going to help us out a lot. For a new chapter, new channel, we need all the help we can get. Thank you. The insect man.
The insect man!
I think that might have been the best MUFON meeting I've been to.